See, so Kim Newman, one of my favorite authors. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you so much for liking my work.
I don't know how anyone could not like it, because it is honestly so clever. That's the word I want to say.
That's why some people can't like it.
Yes.
Like it. I am well aware that the abiding sin of my generation is too clever by half.
Yes.
I do try. I try to have stuff that's that's there for emotional involvement rather than just being smart.
Showing off.
Yeah, showing off. That's right. That's exactly what. And I am not the only person guilty of this, but I do concede that it's very much part of my method.
Yeah, you are somewhat guilty of it. I just have a few questions. My first question is, when did you, because you're a writer, obviously, and as we heard in the interviews, that you have written a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
When did you sort of become aware that this was something this was a job, like you could be a writer? When did you realize that?
The sad answer to that story is I'm a writer because I couldn't get a job. I couldn't do anything else. I graduated in 1980, which was a time of big graduate unemployment. Margaret Thatcher had just come to power and all that stuff. And I spent a couple of years applying for the sort of jobs that I would be qualified for, newspaper, publishing, media. So didn't get anywhere. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. And after a couple of years, and all this time I was doing bits of theatre and bits of writing for fanzines and whatever. And I just started selling non-fiction and fiction at about the same time. And I became a freelance writer because nothing else was demanding. From my first sale to as it were, my signing off state benefits and becoming a full-time writer was actually a very brief time. It was like 4 or 5 months. I sold my first book very young. And since then I've not actually had a job. Although because I've done lots and lots of different types of writing, if one thing gets a bit slow, then something else will pick up. So I have managed to stick at it all these years without actually working.
Yeah, that was sort of answers my next question, which is what made you, once you tried it, what made you stick with it? And obviously you could actually make a living off it.
Yeah, I've made a pretty good living, but it's not just that. It's that I think I'm probably now temperamentally unsuited to conventional employment. Apart from anything else, I don't have an employment history, so who would hire me? But I'm so used to setting my own hours, and obviously doing journalism and criticism or whatever. I've done a lot of meeting deadlines and hitting word lengths and all this kind of professional stuff. It's not just airy-fairy arty, wandering through fields, looking at the sky, waiting for inspiration. It's proper, old-fashioned writing. Yeah, but. Yes, I doubt if I kind of like the thing that is good about being freelance is everything I do is because somebody asks me to do it. Nothing I do is because somebody tells me to do it.
Well, that sounds good. My last question: what is the highlight or the best thing about the kind of work you do and the kind of career you have? What is?
Because I don't have anything to compare it to, I'm not quite sure. I suspect it's something as simple as not having to commute, just being able to get up when I want, start work when I want, all that kind of stuff. Which people who have conventional jobs grumble about. I don't grumble about those things. Of course, I don't get paid holidays or sick leave or a pension plan and all that kind of stuff as well. But because that's an absence, that's not something I
You never had it since you never got a job.
That's right, yeah.
So you sometimes feel, because as you say, you set your own hours, get up when you want whenever, but is it also, maybe not so much in your case because you work also for magazines and things, but is it a lonely job? Being a writer, do you feel that it is?
Actually, I suspect a lot of people who are just fiction writers do find it a lonely job. Because I still do a lot, and I also do a lot of broadcasting. I do, it's very rare that I will just be at home all day and then not be doing anything in the evening. It's like I do have quite a complicated social life as well as a complicated professional life, and that does mean that I get out, I see people, and the other thing is, of course, in order to write, you have to be used to being alone in a room. I mean, that's almost the definition of it. If you can't hack that, and there's nothing wrong with not being. I know people who literally cannot be alone. Yeah, or if they are alone, cannot do anything, who sort of seize up. But if you can't do that, then you're never going to be able to do the other stuff, the fun stuff. So you have to learn to live with that. Sometimes I have to say, I would like more days at home not doing anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, that is nice. That can be very nice. I was going to spend a day like that today, but I'm so glad I came here instead.
Oh, well,
so
I'm glad
thank
you did too.
so much for talking to me. Kim Newman.
Thank you.